Welcome back then guys to this live stream after a 3.5 hour break due to the French Grand Prix qualifying session, and we are now here for the feature race for IFMC GP2. GP2 and GP3 obviously switch places of course to accommodate the French Grand Prix qualifying, and there will be a little bit of a scheduled tweak tomorrow as well as a result of it, which you would have seen on Thursday anyway. But anyway, we're here for 32 laps of the feature race here at Monza, and if you didn't see what happened in qualifying yesterday, very interesting stuff, but in the end, George Russell took a very crucial first ever pole position, and meaning that the gap between himself and Rosenqvist in the Drivers' Championship is now down to 6 points. He took pole position ahead of Pierre Gasly, who managed to split the two Red Bull Academies, and of course Rosenqvist rounded out the top three. It's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers will cope for 32 laps in this feature race, and of course you've got to remember as well, we have a mandatory pit stop, so things can change in that sort of direction. So I think then, without further ado, let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for the feature race here at Monza. Here we go then. So on pole position it is George Russell with Pierre Gasly in second. Felix Rosenqvist lines up in third with Jolyon Palmer in fourth. Nobuharu Matsushita is an impressive fifth with Lando Norris in sixth. Sergey Sirotkin starts in 7th with Sergey in the Ecademy in 8th position. 9th on the grid is Mitch, followed by Nato, who rounds out the top 10 on the Lightbase Sony racing car. 11th is Santiago Ghiotto, followed by Lando Stroll, who starts in 12th. Luca Ghiotto is in 13th, followed by Luca in 14th position. 15th on the grid is Joel Eriksson in the Lopez racing car, followed by Nyck de Vries, a disappointing 16th for him. Then it's 17th for Sasha Fenestras, 18th is a disappointed Lynn. 19th on the grid is Yuri Vips, followed by Sean Goliath, who starts 20th, disappointed for the man who won the sprint race last weekend. And on the back row of the grid, it's Dan Ticktum, and due to his qualifying ban, Louis Razier is 22nd and last. And that is the grid for the feature race here at Monza. So there is the grid then guys for the feature race, and the weather, of course, being bright and sunny, so leave your predictions, but without further ado, let's get to the feature race for IFMC GP2 here at Monza. So, here we are then on the grid then. It's Russell on the right of your screens, Gasly on the left, who's going to get the lead into turn 1 as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start of the feature race here at Monza. 1 light is on, 2 lights are on, 3 lights are on, 4 lights are on, 5 lights are on. And it is go for the feature race here at Monza. It's a good start from Gasly, who's got a better start than Russell going down towards turn 1. Gasly gets the jump on Russell as they go down towards the first corner. A good start from Palmer, he's up to second as well. As Rosenqvist has also not had a good start as well. Both Red Bull Academies not having good starts into the first corner. It's Gasly who leads the way. Palmer follows him in second place. Norris has had a good start, he's up to 4th, he gets by on Rosenqvist. Matsushita drops a place down to 6th, but it could be 7th because Yurichi has had a fantastic start. He's now going to go up into 6th place. A fantastic start from him. Sirotkin now all over the backside of him, not been a good start from Kamara. He's down to 9th place as everybody's got through the first corner okay, but it's Gasly who leads, followed by Palmer 2nd, Russell in 3rd, Norris close behind in 4th, then Rosenqvist 5th, Yurishi is 6th, but then it's going to be Matsushita down inside of this chicane, and he pulls that one off. Matsushita back up to 6th place as Yura and Sirotkin go side by side for 8th, but Yura just has the edge to get up into 8th place, setting Kamara down to 10th. As a result of that, as they make their way into the Lesmos now then, as Lynn and Vips go side by side, but Vips looks like he's just got the edge into the Lesmos to get hold of 18th place. Razzie now bringing the rear of the field again, as you can see Gasly's got a bit of a gap in front of Palmer. Meantime now Norris on the back of Russell, looking to the inside into the Red Bull Academy. Can he get the move done on Russell as they go into the Ecademy chicane? Down the inside he goes, and he does. Up into 3rd place goes Lando Norris, and now Rosenqvist wants a piece of his nearest rival for 4th place. Up to out of the Ecademy chicane we go. Matsushita and Yuisha trying to close this battle as well. Russell though looking to the outside of Norris, he hasn't given up on him, trying to get alongside, isn't going to quite work out. Rosenqvist takes full advantage, he got Russell. Can he get Norris at the same time into Parabolica? And he does so. Fantastic move from the championship leader, taking 2 places down that straight. Rosenqvist up into 3rd place. Russell now back on the prowl, and Norris says Matsushita and Yuisha catch up. Meantime now then, at the end of lap 1 of 32 then here at Monza, it's Gasly who leads with Palmer 2nd, Rosenqvist 3rd, but it could be 4th because Norris is going back at him now then. 4th Norris, Russell 5th, Matsushita 6th, Yuisha 7th, and Yura running at the top 8. Yura getting away from Sirotkin as Norris down the inside of Rosenqvist as Matsushita has a go at Russell down the inside into the chicane. Norris Norris down the inside. Has he got the place? And yes, he has. And oh, a little bit. And there was contact between Matsushita and Russell. Norris up to third. Russell's been pushed back to 8th place. Was there contact, or did Russell just run out of road? As you can see, let's have a look. So Russell goes defensive. Matsushita just finds a gap down the inside. And yes, there was contact between the pair then. Russell getting punted a little bit there. That will be investigated after the race. I'm not sure if it will just be classed as a racing incident though, but let's have a look then. As I go into the first chicane, Russell goes defensive into that first chicane now. Then let's have a look into that first chicane, and yeah, Russell, it looked like he was just running on the road anyway, and well, got punted a little bit. We'll have a look from Matsushita's perspective if we can. And just to mention, of course, Norris back up into 3rd place, getting by on Rosenqvist. Matsushita to the inside he goes. Look, there's just enough room to get a car in there as he just turns into the corner. And yeah, it's just a classic case of really just the way they were angled. It just wasn't going to work out. It will be investigated after the race. So, that's that really. Russell down to 8th. He could be outside the points because Sirotkin now wants to take full advantage if he can. Round the right hand we go. Matsushita now starting to chase down Rosenqvist for 4th place, along with Yurishi, who's all over the back of him at the same time. Out of the turn we go. Sirotkin down the inside of Russell. Russell could be outside the points at this stage as they go up towards the 2nd chicane. Will Sirotkin pull this move off? And he does. Sirotkin up into 8th place, getting through on Russell. Seti Kamara fancying his chances on George Russell. This is not what the Brit wants as he's in the championship fight. At this stage it remains like this. The gap will be up to 11 points between himself and Rosenqvist in the Drivers' Championship. That is not what he needs right now. He needs to get up the field quickly, but he could even lose another place because Seti Kamara is now all over him now then as he challenges him for 9th place, heading down the straight towards the Ascari chicane now then. Will Seti Kamara find a way through on George Russell? Down the straight we go. He tucks up. He's going to look to the inside. Will he pull the move off on George Russell? He's going alongside of the Brit now then, down the inside into the Ascari chicane. Will Seti Kamara get the place? And no, Russell just able to hang it around the outside and hold on tonight to build a bit of a gap as Ghiotto looks to the inside of Norman. Nato isn't able to make the move stick there into Ascari, as it seems that a trainer car starting to form down there. Gasly starting to pull away even more on Palmer in 2nd place now. In the meantime, Rosenqvist trying to catch back up to Norris, but Norris still has a bit of a gap in front of him at this stage. Matsushita trying to chase him down at the same time. Same with Yurishi at this stage. Russell now then trying to chase back down Sirotkin. Now he's got a bit of a gap in front of Seti Kamara as they come out of Parabolica now then. Heading down towards the first corner, there's Gasly, the current race leader, as he looks for a 2nd feature race victory in a row. And so far, he's just been doing so impressive towards his back end of the season. It's a shame he's not really in the championship scrap anymore, because it would have been very interesting to see how Gasly would have done, as it would have been a 2nd opportunity to try and grab the driver's title, but it looks out of it anyway. But at least he is moving to the top class next season with Shadow Mercedes, so it'd be very interesting to see how Gasly does in the top class next season at the team where he made a one-off appearance last season, of course, when Leclerc did his one-off drive at Etihad, and that ended, of course, very well, where he ended up crashing with Mick Schumacher and rolling over in spectacular fashion at the first corner at Suzuka. So, but Gasly will be looking to try and put that behind him and hopefully end this season on a high before moving to the top class next season. As Gasly continues to lead the way from Palmer. Norris, meantime, might come with a threat from Rosenqvist again. He's slowly closing him back in now for 3rd place, as Matsushita's not really got up to Rosenqvist as much as he would have anticipated. As what's happened to Russell? Russell's gone somewhere on the radar. What's happened to George Russell? He's out of the race. What's happened to Russell? Russell somewhere. There he is. He's pulled off with an engine failure. Unbelievable. Russell, he's out of the race. Unbelievable stuff. And, well, that is not going to help in the Drivers' Championship for George Russell. He pulls off with engine failure. And that is the end of Russell's race then. Look at the smoke coming off the back of that car. And Russell's championship might have gone down the toilet as a result. An engine failure has put pay to that. He has to hope that Rosenqvist has something bad happen to him. Because if it now stays like this with Rosenqvist in 5th place, the gap will be, well, still 11 points in the Drivers' Championship, but it will be 12 points if Rosenqvist can find a way through on Norris at this stage. And I don't know if my voice broke there when Russell retired, so I do apologise if that were the case. As Nyck de Vries there having a go at Ericsson, didn't quite make the move stick. Vips all over the back of them as well, as Ticktum trying to find a way through on Goliath at this stage. They come down the pit straight. Gasly now then, about to start lap 4:32. Let's have a look at the fuel loads in terms of the mandatory pit stops. I expect them to come around about lap 12 to 20. We'll probably see the mandatory pit stops start to come into an effect as Gasly hip hops over the first chicane now then, coming off the turn, as he will now approach turn 4 on the track. Rosenqvist starting to lose time again, it appears, to Norris, as now Matsushita closes him back in. And as Matsushita looks to maybe try and help Russell a little bit, same with Yuichi, who's just sticking to Matsushita like glue at this stage. As meantime, now look at Sirotkin getting quite racy now as he's starting to come up to the back of Luca. Now then, as they make their way round the right-hander up towards the chicane we go. And Sirotkin not close enough to make the move there, but having saying that, Yura is starting to go defensive into that second chicane. Could put him in prime position for a move into the Ascari chicane. As now we make their way down through the two Lesmos now then on the track as they come off the turn. Look like Sirotkin carrying more speed into that corner than what Yura did as he closed back into him now. Then Yura doesn't defend into that second Lesmo. And now Sirotkin, can he get a run on Yura down this straight up towards the Ascari chicane now? Then he tucks up into his slipstream. Can Sirotkin get the move done? He's got to look to the inside. Can he get the move done on the Austrian? But Yura covers him off and holds on to 7th place. Seta Kamara behind does not capitalise on that as a result. Through Ascari we go. And that's that for the moment at least. As Gasly still continuing to lead the way out in front. He'll soon be starting lap 5 in a little bit as he goes out of Parabolica. As meantime now then, as you can see, Sirotkin trying to get alongside Yura, but again Yura covering him off. And as a result, Sirotkin has to hang back for now, but maybe he could try and get him onto the pit straight if he can. Through the Parabolica we go, heading down the pit straight as Gasly now sets the fastest lap at 1 minute 27.805. Gasly currently holding on to the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. Sirotkin now gets a run out of the turn. He's going to look to the inside of Yura. Can he pull this one off? Didn't get enough momentum, but can he get back in his slipstream perhaps and try and get him into the first chicane? He's back in the slipstream, looking to the inside. Will Sirotkin pull this one off into the first chicane? Down the inside he goes. Has he got the place? Down the inside he goes, and yes he has. Sirotkin up into 7th place, getting the move done on Luca. Now Yura could find himself into the clutches of Seta Kamara as a result. And there's Evans now then. Seta Kamara now finding himself in a VorteX sandwich at this stage. As meantime now then, Vries having to fend off from Lynn for 16th place. As these two continue to bring up the rear of the field now then. Meantime, Norris still having the gap consistent between himself and Felix Rosenqvist as they make their way through the Lesmos. Through Lesmo 1 and then up towards Lesmo number 2 we will go. So up towards that corner we go, coming off the turn, using all the curb on the outside now then, down the straight. And let's see if Rosenqvist can pull this one off now then as I go up towards the Ascari chicane. So up towards Ascari we go, round the left, then the right, and then into the left again as they come off the turn. Rosenqvist using all the curb on the outside as they make their way down towards the Parabolica now then. Rosenqvist continuing to try and close these guys down. Gasly coming out of Parabolica now then as he starts lap 6 of the race. Meantime now then, as you can see, Seta Kamara starting to lose time a little bit to Yura. But either that or he's not getting close to him at this stage as they make their way out of Parabolica now then on the track. So at the moment it seems that the only battles happening is towards the rear of the field as Vips has a go at Lynn for 18th place. Can he get the move done on the Brit now? Then it's Tiktam had a go at Razzie for 20th. Down the inside he goes. And yes he does. Up to 18th goes Yuri Vips. As Goliath all over the backside of Nyck Vries trying to make a recovery after only qualifying 20th on the grid yesterday. Into the first chicane goes Sergey Seta Kamara as he rides the curbs through those turns now then, heading down towards turn 4 on the track. And Kamara now then, round this right-hander he goes. And trying to get up close to Yura if he can, as they will now approach the left-right chicane. Into that chicane we go now then, hopping over the curbs. Out of the turn we go now then. Kamara trying everything he can to get hold of Yura in front. And now we will approach Lesmo 1. And now up towards Lesmo number 2 we will go. And Seta Kamara getting back on the prowl of Yura, trying to find Lucas's his weak point on the track now then as he head down the straight towards the Ascari chicane. And we'll Seta Kamara try and find a way through on the Austrian now then. Up towards Ascari we go. And Kamara not close enough to pull a pass on him this time. By out of Ascari we go. Round the left-hander, heading down the straight towards Parabolica. And Kamara trying to get up close to the back of Yura if he can Up towards the last turn we go. Can he find a way through on him this time by around the final turn? And onto the pit straight we will go. Out the turn we go before heading down the straight. And let's see now, then can Kamara possibly get a run on Vips down this site, on Euro down this pit straight now. Then he's getting in the slipstream, but again, just not close enough to the Austrian at this stage. Might be try and get a run on him into the second chicane on the track. Round we go, round the right and left-hander we go. Coming off the turn. And Kamara now right onto the backside of Luca now then. Through the right-hander we go. As they make their way around the section of corners. And then up towards the second chicane. We'll set to Kamara, try and find a way through on Euro. Euro goes defensive now. Then Kamara, though, can he try and possibly dive it down the inside into the chicane? He thought about it, but Euro covers him off and holds on to 8th place. And Euro essentially just backing him up into that chicane there. This allows Sirotkin to just get away in front of these guys. Around the 2 Lesmos we go. As Seta Kamara uses the curb on the outside up towards the second Lesmo. He's going to have a go into the second Lesmo, but Yoa shuts the door and holds on to 8th place there. So that's that for him, really. Heading down the straight towards Ascari. Kamara's got a run on Lucas Yoa. Can he get him into the Ascari chicane? He's got to look to the inside. Will he pull the move off on the Austrian? He gets alongside him. Is this going to be enough for Kamara to get the place down the inside? He goes, and he does. Seta Kamara up into 8th place. He gets himself into the points, and P8 belongs to the Brazilian as a result. Meantime, Rosenqvist still not really up with Norris, but at the moment it looks like Norris is closing up more onto Palmer than what Rosenqvist is on Norris. So Rosenqvist just settling down, it seems, into a rhythm as Norris now starts to chase down Palmer for second place in this race. What's the gap between the pair of them at this stage? We're on lap 8 of 32 now then, so including this lap. Gasly has 25 laps remaining in this feature race. Up towards the first game we go. 1.4 seconds is the gap between the two Brits as they make their way through that first chicane. And now into turn 4 we will go as he flicks around the right-hander. And Kenton Norris try and find a way through on Palmer now. There's meantime De Vries and Razia as De Vries is all the way down at the back of the field. He's lost a lot of time, it appears. Now he's trying to find a way back through on Razia. Up towards the first chicane we go. And let's see, De Vries down the inside of Razia, and he pulls the move off with perfection. Up to 20th goes Nyck De Vries in the GRM. Here is Pierre Gasly continuing to lead the way on in front by a big amount as Palmer looks to be backing up towards Norris and Rosenqvist. And so that's that really. Meantime, Yurisha could come under threat because Sirotkin is closing him in now. So Sirotkin looking to gain more time. Same with Seta Kamara. He's starting to close in on Sirotkin as well. In fact, unseen by the cameras, Evans has got Euro himself. So up into 9th place goes Euro's teammate, Mitch Evans. So he gains a place, and now he's starting to chase down Sergey Seta Kamara himself. Meantime, now Stroll has a go at Lucas as they go side by side into the Ascari chicane. Will the Canadian pull this one off down the inside? And yes, he can. Stroll up into 10th place, getting the move done on Lucas And now Nato wants a piece of Euro coming off of Ascari. He's got a good run on him. He could get him into the Parabolica now. Then he's going to look to the outside. Probably not the wisest, as still Euro is actually still stuck in Stroll's slipstream. He's going to try and get him back into the Parabolica now. Then down the inside he goes into Parabolica. Will he retake 10th from the Canadian? And you know what? Yes, he has. Euro retakes 10th, or has he? Because Stroll is keeping his foot down because he's hanging it around the outside. Down the pit straight we go. And has Stroll got the place from him now? Then side by side they go down the pit straight. And let's see, has he been able to pull this one off? Side by side to go. Stroll, though, I think he's just got the edge on Euro as they make their way down to turn 1. Euro might try and outbreak him. He's going to try to. Euro down the inside of Stroll, but Stroll hangs it around the outside to hold on to 10th place as now Nato, Ghiotto and Fenestras fancy their chances on the young Austrian as they come out of the chicane. Meantime, Sirotkin getting closer to Euricia now then on this lap as they make their way into the second chicane. Round the left and right hander we go. Sirotkin pushing hard now to try and get hold of Euricia in front as they make their way around the first Lesmo. Evans still trying to chase down Seta Kamara, but still not within slipstream range of the young Brazilian. Around the right hander he goes, and then up towards the second Lesmo he'll soon approach. As meantime, Norris still not within slipstream range of his fellow compatriot as of yet. Through Ascari we go, round the left, then the right, and then through into the left again. And they'll soon head down the straight before approaching Parabolica. Meantime now then, Rosenqvist, can he try and get a run on Norris in front? He's slowly in his slipstream, but he's not really getting onto him much down the straight as the pair then make their way around Parabolica now then. And Rosenqvist currently 4th at the moment as he tries to get the final podium place off Lando Norris. No behind Masashita. Yuishi's still being dragged along, it seems. So it seems that Sirotkin might be lapping both of those lot quicker in front. And let's see what the gap is like anyway between Sirotkin and Yuishi this time by as they make their way into the first chicane. Up towards that first chicane we go, and the gap between them is now, as they go around the right and left hand, 1.6 seconds. That's how that looks at this stage as Sirotkin comes out of that second chicane. And then up towards the right-hander he will go. And around the right. And Sirotkin currently 7th at this stage. There's Setokamara 8th, trying to chase him down. Same with Evans, but Evans not really getting onto him as much as we were anticipated. Up into 11th and 12th go Nato and Ghiotto, and 13th for Finish Trajura, losing a lot of time. He's now down to 14th place, so gaining 3 places on Nato, Ghiotto, and Finish up to 11th, 12th, and 13th respectively. Nato trying to chase down Stroll now for 10th place to try and get himself into the top 10. And you have to say that maybe his future at Lightbase Sony Racing could come under threat because he's been way outshone by teammate Lando Norris this season. And you have to question whether Jake Shute will be trying to shop his seat around for next season and try and find somebody else. They were interested at one point at Alexander Albon, but at the moment it seems that's not going to be the case at the moment. It seems that they've backed out of that one. I think because another team has him, from what I understand, before him. So managed to get him before him. So a little bit of confusion there, but they will not be getting Albon next season if that's the case. Who knows really, Nato could still have a chance at the seat next season, but he's got to really do some impressions in these last 4 races, and so far he's not really living up to that at this stage. And meantime, what's the gap between Yuishi and Sirotkin this time by as they both make their way into the first chicane. Let's have a look now then. Sirotkin trying to break a little later than Yuishi, and it's 1.6 still, so they're both lapping around about the same pace as each other at this stage. Meantime, Rosenqvist right onto the back of Norris now then, so he's starting to attack him. Looks like Palmer's now pulled a gap, and Rosenqvist now fancying his chances at Lando Norris for the final podium places is not what Russell needs, because if Rosenqvist can find a way through on Lando Norris, the gap will be 12 points between Russell and Rosenqvist in the Drivers' Championship, and considering Russell's had the engine failure, this will not do great for him as a result. Out of the first Lesmo goes Rosenqvist as he'll soon approach the second Lesmo. Around that right-hander he goes, coming off the turn, using the curb on the outside. Will Rosenqvist try and get a run on Norris? Down the straight now then. Down the straight we go before approaching the Ascari chicane. And again, doesn't look like Rosenqvist is close enough this time by to have an attack on Norris as they make their way through the left-hander, through the left, then the right, and then into the left-handers. Out goes Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll is out of the race. What's happened to the Canadian? And whereabouts is he on the track? And let's find him. And I think we might have missed him a little bit. But it says Rousey is still 21st. So we still have a chance to try and see what on earth happened to Lance Stroll. And so as long as we press the replay again, we should be able to see what on earth happened. Whereabouts is he on the track? And in fact, there he is. I think we kind of missed him there. There he is. It is a transmission problem that puts pay to Stroll's race. It lifts Nato now up into 10th place. And so he didn't even need to try and close up to make it happen. But Lance Stroll is out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners in this feature race. And I think we're getting pretty close now to the... what was I going to say? We're pretty much a few laps away now from the mandatory pit stops that are about to happen. So probably another few laps or so, we'll see it happening. Confirmation that Stroll is out of the race as we look at Gasly, who will now approach the first chicane as he continues to lead the way out in front. Round the right and left-hander we go as he comes off the turn. And now he will approach turn 4 on the track as here's Palmer, currently second at the moment in this race. Meantime now then, Rosenqvist trying to find a way through on Lando Norris as he tries to get up close to the Brit. Round the right-hander he goes. And can Rosenqvist try and find a way through on Lando Norris this time by? as they will now approach the second chicane now then, round the left and right hand there we go. And up towards the 2 Lasmos we will go on the track. And he just makes his way out of the turn into the second Lasmo. As they now head down the straight before approaching the Ascari chicane. Will Rosenqvist find a way through on Lando Norris now then as they go down the straight towards Ascari. Rosenqvist on the back, he's going to look to the inside. Will Rosenqvist pull the move off on Lando Norris into the Ascari chicane? Down the inside he goes. Will he pull the move off? And yes he does. Rosenqvist up into 3rd place, getting the move done on Norris. And that's P3 for the championship leader. And now if it stays like this, the gap will team Rosenqvist and Russell will be up to 12 points. If it remains like this at the moment, here's Gasly continuing to lead the way and in front of the moment, as he will now start lap 13 of 32. So we will now have specifically, as he actually is pitting at the end of this lap. So Gasly will be pitting at the end of this lap for a fresh set of tyres and fuel with just 20 laps. As we have 20 laps remaining in the race, on lap 13 of 32 here in this feature race for Monza. And we are now at the mandatory pit stop stages of the race. Norris, though, still trying to keep up with Rosenqvist. Still feels he could have a chance of getting him. And in fact, the pair of them are pitting at the end of this lap. So it could be a battle between the mechanics at this stage. Masashita, though, fancies his chances. He's now closing up to the pair of them at this stage. Masashita looking for a podium if he can in the Holy Trinity racing car as he makes his way around the right-hander. And now up towards the second chicane we go. Palmer has a big enough gap in front. Norris still keeping up with Rosenqvist, so he's not giving up on the Swede yet. But Rosenqvist is trying to get away from him and try and chase down Palmer for 2nd place if he can. Up towards the 2 Lasmos we will go. Round the right, the first Lasmo, and then into the second Lasmo we will approach. And up towards the second Lasmo then go Rosenqvist and Norris. The pair then will be pitting at the end of this lap along with race leader Pierre Gasly, who are now viewing as they come out of Ascari, heading down the straight before approaching Parabolica. And Gasly now then continuing to lead the way at this stage, and up towards the final turn will go the Frenchman. And around the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go, as he will now make his way down the straight as he pulls into the right, and into the pits comes Pierre Gasly from the lead of the race now then. And let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for Pierre, as he will put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. A quick wipe of the visor for him, and we'll be expecting Rosenqvist and Norris to join as well. As in fact, there's a whole train of cars coming down pit lane. This might hold up Gasly a little bit in the pits, and he's going to have to wait for a little bit as there's a load of cars coming down pit lane. So Gasly getting held up. He's finally got a break, but that's going to cost him a little bit of time, it must be said. And Rosenqvist might experience some tracking himself. Gasly able to get going again, but that might cost him time in comparison to Jolyon Palmer, who stayed out, and he's not scheduled to pit for another lap or so. So that's that really. Kamara will be coming in, as will Evans. Where has Gasly rejoined? Here's Gasly. He rejoins in 10th behind a pile of cars, and that will not help. Meantime, side-by-side action between Lynn and Joel Eriksson. Eriksson gets the place of Lynn, which is 8th place on the road, but I believe that's around about 15th or 16th. Those two are fighting for. Sirotkin has finished the stop. What's going on here? As Rosenqvist has still come out in front of Norris, so he stays ahead of him at this stage. A bit of a gap. Look like Norris got a little bit more held up. Sirotkin has finished his stop, and he comes out right behind Norris. So if those two got held up in the pits, it could help Masashita as well in this race. So in fact, Masashita has actually made a pit stop, and in fact, Sirotkin and Urishi have got the jump on him. So a lot of traffic going on in the pits has allowed Sirotkin and Urishi to jump him, and now Sirotkin is now trying to close up onto Norris for a potential 4th place perhaps in this race. Meantime, now then, Palmer of course is staying out on the track. He's not scheduled to make a pit stop this time by as Razia, his teammates, just finished a stop. He's down in last, but will Palmer pit at the end of lap 15 now then? As he crosses the line to start that lap? And yes, he will. Palmer will be pitting this lap. As into the pits comes Sergey Setakamara from 2nd place. Also joining in will be Mitch Evans behind him. It will be a battle between the VorteX and Ecademy mechanics as they look to try and get their men out in front, as it looks like they'll also be joined by Norman Nato's Lightbase Sony racing car as well. So a battle for the mechanics now then. So it looks like the EMR of Luca Ghiotto is also coming as well. So there's somebody else coming down pit lane. That looks like Galio. I think that's just coming to the pits. And it is Galio. And in fact, as both Kamara and Evans are having to wait in their boxes. And let's see, Evans could even get the jump on Seti Kamara. And Seti Kamara had to wait because of the rule, and it's allowed Evans to jump him in the pits. So they're through on the board now then. So through goes Evans. He's got through on him now then. But where is Evans and Seti Kamara going to be joined? There's Sirotkin, who's got through up into 6th place for the moment. I think there's still somebody else in front that's still yet to pit. Evans rejoins in 8th place behind Uishia. And Seti Kamara rejoins in 10th behind Masashita. So Masashita again losing another place in the pit. Everything is changed up in the pit lane. It's probably going to be the most chaotic pit lane we'll probably ever have in IFMC. Meantime, Palmer is pitting at the end of this lap. And because of the hold up with Gasly, will that be enough to maybe even close up or even jump Gasly in the pits? We'll have to wait and see. He's got a big gap in front of everybody at the moment. So we could take full advantage of this if he can. As he comes out of Parabolica now then. I think Palmer even won here last season as well. Or was it the season before? I can't 100% remember. But either way, into the pits comes Jolyon Palmer from the lead of the race. And in fact, I think it was Lynn actually who won the race for Willows Grand Prix a couple of seasons ago. But Palmer is in. Can he get himself in front of Gasly? Did the hold up cost Gasly any chance of the lead? Yoa is pitting at the end of this lap. Gasly is only just going down this straight now and approaching Parabolica. Palmer, let's see how he'll do. He's finished his stop. Where is Gasly? Gasly's coming out of Parabolica now then. And let's see now then who is going to be out in front. It's going to be close between Gasly and Palmer. I think Gasly might actually just do enough to stay in front, which he does. So Gasly, luckily at the traffic, didn't cost him the lead there. But let's see now then. Palmer's going to be joining 2nd place, still a little bit behind. But a little bit closer, I would think, because, of course, Palmer didn't get held up in the pits, whereas Gasly did. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gasly opens up that gap now. He rejoins in 2nd in front of Rosenqvist. And meantime, Yoa finishes his stop. Where's he going to come out? He could even come out in the points with all the hold-ups that's happened in the pits. But no, he's now outside the points. So where is he actually going to rejoin? Yoa comes out on the track, and he's going to rejoin. Where is he going to rejoin? He's going to rejoin in 12th, just behind Norman Nato's Lightbase Sony racing car, and in front of Sasha Fenestraz. So that's where he's going to rejoin. And Gasly now then finds himself back in the lead of the race on lap 16 of 32. We're at the halfway stage now of this feature race. So 17 laps remaining for race leader Pierre Gasly. And is there still anybody else yet to make a stop? I will double check in the cockpits now then. Masashita now down in 8th place as a result of being held up massively in the pits. And yeah, everybody's finished off their stop. So the feature, so now the mandatory pit stops have gone out of the way. It's now a sprint to the finish, and there's still possibly a few battles to contend with. Rosenqvist, meantime, will want to try and close up to Palmer if he can for 2nd place. Now he's left Norris for dust after that pit stop. As they come out of the Ascari chicane now then. Heading down the straight towards Parabolica. There is Norris in the background, and Sirotkin will look to try and close him up if he can. Up towards the final turn we will go. And around the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go. What's the gap between Rosenqvist and Palmer? This time by as they make their way down the pit straight. And Gasly now on lap 17 of 32. 16 laps remaining in this feature race. And let's see the gap then between both Palmer and Rosenqvist this time by. As they make their way into the first chicane. Around the right and left hander we go. It's 2.8 seconds the gap is. It's a 4-second gap between Rosenqvist and Norris now then at this stage. 2.4 the gap between Sirotkin and Norris on that lap alone. So meantime, Nana Masashita 8th, and he's probably not happy with that. He's now trying to chase down Evans and try and regain lost time. And Sergey Kamara also trying to do the same as well. And they all try and gain some places that they lost in the pits. Probably a very chaotic pit lane during this race. Gasly could have lost the lead, but he didn't. A breath of sigh of relief there, possibly for team boss Oliver Glazebrook, as Gasly looks to try and get his 4th victory of the season. And to strengthen his gap in this battle for 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship that Gasly's having with Sirotkin, Norris, and I think there's one more as well, I think. Or is it just those 3? I think it's actually just those 3, in fact. So Gasly will pull away a little bit more in the Drivers' Championship in their battle for 3rd in that championship. And coming down the straight now then, Gasly doing a good job out in front as he continues to now stretch his lead in front of Jolyon Palmer. Let's see the gap between Palmer and Rosenqvist this time by as they make their way down the pit straight, and the gap between Palmer and Rosenqvist is now. Let's have a look as they make their way down towards the first chicane on the track, turns 1 and 2. Let's have a look now then, up towards turn 1 and 2 we will go on the track, round the right and left-hander, and the gap between them is 2.4 seconds. That's how that looks at this stage. I actually can't remember if he's actually gained a little bit or not, but I'll try and remember next time by. Anyway, as Sergey locks up the brakes there into the first chicane, trying to close up to Matsushita, the gap being 1.1 seconds between the pair. Then 1.5 second gap Ghiotto has compared to Sergey in front, and it could get close between his lot in the possible scrap for what could be 7th place in this race. Urisha looking very good in 6th place at the moment as he looks to try and add to the points that he had from Belgium, where he took the team's only victory this season, and that's where he's only got his points this season from, that victory and fastest lap he had at Spa-Francorchamps. So it's not been the best season for Urisha, and you have to question whether his future in the team could be in doubt, as his teammates had a much better season compared to him, despite the fact that Lynn hasn't got a victory this season in GP2. But whether he will in these last 4 races, last 3 races, it's looking more likely that Gasly will win this race now. But the last 3 races after this, we'll wait and see. And of course, along with GP3, this is also the penultimate weekend for IFMC GP2. And I don't think that looking at it, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Looking at it, I don't. Let me work that one out. In fact, before I say anything. Rosenqvist can't, at the rate where the position he's in at the moment, it will look like that Rosenqvist, even if he takes the victory tomorrow, can't wrap up the championship this weekend. So it will go down to the finale between Rosenqvist and Russell if it stays like this then. So Rosenqvist up towards the first chicane on the track, and he just comes off the turn. And Rosenqvist now then currently in 3rd place at this stage, as they make their way around the right-hander, and Norris continuing to lose time to Felix Rosenqvist, and we didn't check what the gap was like between Razzie and Rosenqvist that time around. Last time we checked, it was 2.4 seconds of gap, and looking at it, just judging as an estimate, it does look a little bit closer between the pair of them at this stage. Whether it is, though, we'll have to have a look at the end of this lap now then, as Rosenqvist makes his way out of the second Lesmo now then, as he tries everything he can to chase down Jolyon Palmer for 2nd place in the race. Down the straight we go before approaching the Ascari chicane, and up towards Ascari we will go then, as they flick the car around the left, right and left-hander we will go. And Rosenqvist heads down the straight before approaching the last corner at Parabolica, as Gasly continues to stretch his lead out in front between himself and Jolyon Palmer at this stage. Up towards the final turn we will go on the track, as they make their way around the final corner, and onto the pit straight we will go. And let's see then what the gap is like this time around between Palmer and Rosenqvist. Let's see if the 2.4 second gap that we saw 2 laps ago has reduced since we last checked, as they now make their way down towards the first chicane on the track, into the right and left-hander we go, and the gap is 2.2 seconds. So out of the last 2 laps, Rosenqvist has only taken 2 tenths out of Palmer's lead, so he's not really gained too much on him. That's a 10th per lap, not really much Rosenqvist has gained onto Palmer at this stage of the race. So that's that really. Is meantime, Matsushita not really gaining onto Evans as much as he would want. In fact, he's starting to lose time to the Kiwi, and I think it looks like Sirotkin is closing him up again. It looks like these two are going to be fighting it out for who's going to get pole position for the sprint race tomorrow, as they make their way up towards the left-right chicane. And Sirotkin trying his best to close in the Japanese driver. Out of the chicane we go. Ghiotto also trying to close in as well behind them. Up towards the 2 Lesmos we go, round Lesmo 1, and then into Lesmo 2 we will go, and through that second Lesmo, coming off the turn, heading down the straight before approaching the Ascari chicane, and they'll now head up towards the Ascari chicane. We're 20 minutes away from the 7 o'clock mark, so just heads up for anybody wondering what the time is in the UK, if you live in the UK that is, or just or you're just curious in general what time it is in the UK. Coming out of the Ascari chicane, heading down the straight, And Kamara now then will go up towards the final corner on the track. And we'll have a look and see in a little bit what the gap is like between him and Masashita this time by, as they make their way through the Parabolica now then for what will be the 20th time today. Out of the turn, heading down the pit straight, and the gap between Setokamara and Masashita this time by is now, let's have a look, as they make their way down the pit straight. 12 laps remaining for Pierre Gasly as he started lap 21 of 32. As they make their way down towards the first chicane, the gap between them is now, let's have a look, 1.1 seconds. So roughly, that's the same gap that we checked on last time, and it was still 1.5 between Ghiotto and Setokamara, the laps we checked on them last time around. So that's that really. So they're pretty much lapping around about the same pace over there, down where 8th place is at this stage. Out of the second Lesmo, Rosenqvist still trying to hunt down Palmer, but he's only, as we mentioned a little earlier, he's only taking little chunks out of Jolyon Palmer's lead at the moment, and Palmer really responding only a tad bit at the moment to ensure it's not a massive amount that Rosenqvist is gaining. Unless that changes this time by, we'll wait and see as they make their way down the straight towards the Parabolica. And let's see now then, up towards the final turn we'll go Felix Rosenqvist as he tries to make his way, as he tries to find a way through on Jolyon Palmer. Around the final turn and onto the pit straight, let's see the gap between the pair of them this time by. Last time we checked it was 2.2 seconds. Let's see if that has reduced or increased in any way, shape or form. Heading down the straight, and the gap between the pair of them with 11 laps remaining is, let's have a look as they make their way into the first chicane. Up towards turns 1 and 2 we will go on the track, and the gap being 2 seconds. So yeah, pretty much the same sort of story. It's like Rosenqvist is only taking a 10th out of Palmer each lap. And just a note, of course, for anybody watching GP3, I do apologise for that little technical hitch towards the end of the broadcast where you saw me editing on Photoshop the podium. I didn't realise that I hadn't put up the time card on the stream there, so I do apologise for that. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. I honestly thought I did put it up, but clearly I didn't, which is why you lot saw me editing on Photoshop the podium for the GP3 race. So I do apologise for anybody watching that race. I hope it won't happen again. I'll try and make sure it doesn't happen again, but I am human. I do make mistakes sometimes. Sometimes I think I have done things, but in reality I actually haven't, like every human does really. Anyway, back to this little battle back to these two now then, I should say. And Rosenqvist, let's see if it's still a continued trend on the next lap, whether he's only getting a 10th on Jolyon Palmer each lap as they make their way down towards the Parabolica now. Then there's Norris in the background losing time, but at the same time he's not losing time to Sirotkin. Sirotkin not getting onto Norris as much as he would have anticipated. Round Parabolica we go as they'll now head down the pit straight. And let's see the gap then this time by between Rosenqvist and Palmer in front, as we have 10 laps remaining for Pierre Gasly. He's now on lap 23 of 32 in this feature race as they make their way down towards the first chicane on the track. Let's have a look at the gap as they make their way around turns 1 and 2 and out of the turn, and yeah, it's down to 1.9 seconds. So yeah, Rosenqvist is only taking a 10th every lap on Palmer, and considering there's only 10 laps left at this stage, if he's continuing to cut the gap down each lap, he will not be able to get Palmer. Palmer at this stage will do enough to hold on to second from Felix Rosenqvist. So that's that really. Rosenqvist needs to find some time somewhere if he wants second from the Brit by the end of the race. So there we are really. Setokamara looks like he's starting to lose time now to Masashita and possibly settling into a rhythm. Nato starting to close in onto Ghiotto, so Nato looking to try and get a top 10 place off the Italian as they come out of turn 4 now, then up towards turns 5 and 6, which is the second chicane. Into the left and right hander we go as they flick the car in through the turn, using the curb on the outside excuse me, before approaching the two Lesmos. Out of the turn we go. Excuse me. And God almighty, might be starting to lose my voice a little bit. Sorry about that. Anyway, now look at this. We've got a really big scrap going on for 15th place between Alex Lynn, Yuri Vips and Dan Tickton. The two ISPCA racing cars all over the backside of the Macamo now then. As they make their way down the pit straight. Can Yuri Vips try and find a way through on Alex Lynn to go up towards Iscari? Let's see if the Estonian can pull this one off now then. Down the inside into Ascari. Can he pull the move off? And yes, he can. Up into 15th place goes Yuri Vips. And now Lynn finds himself into the clutches of fellow compatriot Dan Ticktum. But having said that, of course, Lynn back in the slipstream of Vips. He's going to look to the outside. Down the straight now then. And is he able to get alongside? No, he isn't. He had to back out of that one. And as a result, Ticktum takes full advantage and could even get his teammate at the same time, which he does. A similar thing to what Rosenqvist did earlier on in the race. Ticktum takes 2 places down at straight and moves up into 15th place. Now, Lynn will try and find a way back through on Yuri Vips if he can, but Vips is actually in the slipstream of Ticktum, looking to try and grab 15th place back of his teammate. Ticktum prevented him at that point. Lynn trying to take full advantage of that little blockage as they go down the straight. Has a little look to the inside, but Vips now then in the slipstream of Ticktum, looking to the inside, but Ticktum covers him off. Lynn though looking to the inside of Yuri Vips. Can he take 16th from the Estonian? Down the inside he goes, and he does. Lynn up into 16th place as Ericsson is now caught up to these guys as a result of those 3 battling. So Lynn up into 16th place as a result. And here's Pierre Gasly continuing to lead the way out in front. Meantime, let's see if Rosenqvist has made an impact on the gap this time by as he goes around the Ascari chicane now then, coming off the turn, heading down the straight before approaching Parabolica. And as they make their way down the straight towards the final turn. And let's see what the gap is going to be like this time by between the pair of them, as we have, as soon as Gasly has started lap 25 of the race. So we now have 8 laps remaining in this feature race. Rosenqvist heading down the pit straight. Let's see the gap between him and Palmer this time by. And the gap between them is now, let's have a look, as they now will approach turns 1 and 2 on the track. And the gap is now, let's have a look, through turns 1 and 2. The gap being 1.6 seconds. So that's how that looks at this stage now then. So 1.6 is the gap between the pair of them. As meantime, Masashita looking quite strong in 8th. At this rate, if it stays like this, this is what the grid for the sprint race will look like tomorrow. It will be Masashita who will be on pole ahead of Evans, Euricia, Sirotkin, Norris, Rosenqvist, Palmer and Gasly. That's how the top 3 will look. And then, of course, the rest of the field. It will be Setikamara 9th, Ghiotto 10th, Nato 11th, Euro 12th, Fenestras 13th, Galao 14th, Ticktum 15th, Lynn 16th, Vip 17th, Ericsson 18th, De Vries 19th, Razia in 20th, followed by Stroll and Russell. So that's how it will look on the grid tomorrow if it remains like this. Here's Gasly coming up towards Parabolica. And he's continuing to still stretch that lead in front of Jolyon Palmer as well as Grand Prix car at this stage. At this rate, it's looking good for Pierre to take his 4th victory of the season. And he's had quite a good season, it must be said, especially in the second half of the season, getting a few victories under his belt. And who knows, really, if he had this pace at the beginning of the season, who knows, he could have had a shot at the championship with Rosenqvist and Russell. But we'll never know. It's just one of those what-if situations, really. But anyway, let's see the gap between Rosenqvist and Palmer this time by. As they make their way up towards the first chicane on the track. Let's have a look now then. Up towards turns 1 and 2 we go. Round the right and left-hander we go. The gap being 1.6 seconds. That's how it looks between the pair of them. As we have 7 laps remaining. So Rosenqvist still has plenty of time to try and gain onto Palmer. Once he's in the slipstream, of course, them temps will go down rapidly a little bit, and then he'll start to pile the pressure on Palmer in the closing stages of this feature race. As Sirotkin trying to close back up to Norris if he can, but still, there's still a big enough gap in front of them at this stage. As at this stage, it looks like Lightbase Sony Racing will gain a little bit onto East Midlands Racing in the Teams Championship. Same with Ecademy as well, with Gasly leading the way as they come out of Ascari now, then heading down the straight towards the Parabolica. And so heading down the straight we go, then up towards the final turn we will go on the track. There is Palmer, currently second at this stage, closely followed by Rosenqvist as well. Out the final turn goes Gasly, as he will now start lap number 27 of 32, so 6 laps remaining for the Frenchman, as he continues to increase the gap out in front. What's the gap now then between Rosenqvist and Palmer as they come out of Parabolica? The gap being, let's have a look, as they make their way down the straight now then. And the gap between Palmer and Rosenqvist is now, as they will soon approach turns 1, 2 and 3 on the track. And we are now 10 minutes away from the 7 o'clock mark for anybody interested. Around turns 1 and 2, and the gap is still 1.6 seconds. So Palmer is starting to lap around about the same pace as Rosenqvist now at this stage. So Rosenqvist unable to try and find a faster lap to Jolyon Palmer. If Palmer can just keep this up, he'll do enough to hold on to second place in this race. And that's that really. Meantime, Nato though getting closer to the back of Ghiotto again. The gap between them is 1 second exactly between the Italian and the Frenchman. Out of the first chicane we go before approaching turn 3, and then into turn 4 we will go on the track. And a little bit behind them is, I believe that is Luca in 12th. It is Luca. He's down in 12th place at this stage. And up towards the second chicane we go. Around the corners, up towards Lesmo 1 and 2 will go Sirotkin as he continues to lose time to Matsushita in front of him at the moment. As Nato trying to reel in Ghiotto as much as possible to try and get his Lightbase Sony racing car into the top 10. Round the second Lesmo. Out of the turn we go now, then heading down the straight before approaching the Ascari chicane. And let's see now then. He's trying to get within the slipstream, but he's not quite there yet to try and pounce on him at this stage. Up towards the Ascari chicane. And trying to see where the weak points are on the Italian around this track, so we can try and pounce upon him and get 10th place from him in the race. And here's Pierre Gasly continuing to lead the way at this stage. He's got an 11.7 second lead in front of Jolyon Palmer. The gap between Rosenqvist and Palmer, let's see if Rosenqvist can respond. And he hasn't, in fact. Palmer has. Palmer has upped the gap by 1/10 of a second. It's now up to 1.7 seconds. So Palmer now starting to get the upper hand on Felix Rosenqvist in front, as he looks to try and get himself away from Rosenqvist to try and get this second place for the East Midlands based team, Willows Grand Prix. And not that far away from the EMR factory, of course, because the pair of them are owned by, both teams are owned by brothers. As now up towards the 2 Lesmos we go. Through Lesmo 1 and then into Lesmo 2 we will go. As Norris tries to get hold of Rosenqvist in front at the moment. As here's Sirotkin, and is he really getting onto Norris as much as he would have anticipated? Well, to put it into perspective, it's looking less likely Sirotkin will actually gain onto him in these remaining laps. So at this stage, I think Norris will do enough to hold on to 4th place in this race. So that'll be the end of that, really. As you can see, Nato getting closer and closer now to the back of Luca Ghiotto, as it looks like we could have a fight for 10th place brewing between the pair of them as they make their way down the straight towards the Ascari chicane. And we'll have a look and see in a little bit what the gap is like this time by. Up towards Ascari we will go, as these two look to duke it out for 10th place in the race. Round the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander we go out of Ascari. Now heading down this long run up towards Parabolica. Nato trying to see if he can find a way through, and it doesn't look like he's close enough this time by to get hold of him now then. Around the final turn and onto the pit straight we will go. And let's see now then what Nato can do. Nato had a little bit of understeer there, had to correct it. Luckily didn't go off the track as a result. I wouldn't be surprised though if that cost him a bit of time between himself and Luca Ghiotto. Let's see now then, with 4 laps to go, what's the gap between them as they make their way into the first chicane. And the gap being 1.5 seconds. That's how that looks at this stage, as Sirotkin, it looks like he's closing back into Matsushita, but whether he'll have enough time to get him and try and get pole position for the sprint race tomorrow, we'll have to wait and see. It'll be nip and tuck, but Sirotkin will give it everything he's got to get 8th from the Japanese driver as he goes around the second chicane. Out of the turn we go, using all the curb on the outside as he makes his way up towards Lesmo 1 and 2. Round the right-hander he goes, as he comes off the turn up towards the second Lesmo, which is a 90-degree right-hander now then. Out of the turn using the curb on the outside as they make their way down the straight, running on board with the Brazilian of Sergey Sirotkin, as he tries everything he can to hunt down Matsushita in front. And Ghiotto trying to keep up with Sirotkin as best as possible. We'll have a look and see what the gap is like anyway between Palmer and Rosenqvist to see if the Swede has responded, but at this stage it's looking like Palmer is more likely to hold on to second at this stage of the race. But let's see the gap anyway between the Willows Grand Prix driver and the Red Bull Ecademy driver. Into the first chicane we go, and the gap being, let's have a look, 1.7 seconds, so it's remained the same from the last time we checked. So that's that really. Palmer looking good for second place here in this feature race. What's the gap between Sirotkin and Masashita then? Let's have a look and see what goes on there really as they make their way up towards the first chicane on the track. And they'll make their way around the right and left hander. 1.7 seconds also is the gap between these two. The same gap as it is between Palmer and Rosenqvist. So at this stage I think Sirotkin's chance of getting pole tomorrow will be down the toilet unless something happens to him in front, which he'll need a lot of luck to get, but it is still possible. Anything can happen in racing, and it usually does, and sometimes it can be a bit of a mystery, it must be said, in terms of how a car's going to react. In fact, speaking of which, what's happened to Palmer? Palmer's out! Jolyon Palmer is out of the race. Commentators curse, and Jolyon Palmer is out of the race with electrical problems. There's an electrical problem for Jolyon Palmer. Oh, what a shame. He was looking good for a podium, a second place finish, but it's gone down the toilet. Jolyon Palmer is out of the race, and we're down to 19 runners. I think he'll be classified anyway because he has done 90% of the race distance. But either way, that now does put Sergey into the points and a potential pole position for the sprint race tomorrow. But as a result, it now lifts Rosenqvist up to second, meaning if it stays like this, the gap between Russell and Rosenqvist in the Drivers' Championship will be up to 14 points. And, as a result, well, I'll need to work it out in terms of it. Well, I would say that he could have had a shot at the victory at the championship tomorrow, but in order to do that, he will need the fastest lap of the race because, let's put it this way, Rosenqvist has less victories than Russell this season. Russell has a lot more than what he has, so Rosenqvist will need to either set the fastest lap or hope something happens to Gasly in front to have a slim chance of winning the championship tomorrow. So, coming out of the first chicane then we go. And Rosenqvist now then in second place. It now lifts Norris onto the podium. And so, I'll start then really as we're on to the penultimate lap of this feature race now. Then Gasly with a big lead now in front of Felix Rosenqvist. He's got nobody around him to challenge him. And he's now heading down the straight now then towards the Ascari chicane. And he's just taking it easy right now. He can just lift his feet up and he'll probably still win the race. Mitch Evans and Masashita look to try and get up close to Urishia, but just due to the amount of time that's left, I think it's not going to be enough. I think Urishia will hold on for 5th place unless something happens to his car, which I highly doubt at this stage to come out of the second Lesmo. And so that's that really as far as I'm concerned. Meantime, here is Pierre Gasly then. He's coming down the pit straight, and Pierre Gasly is about to start his final lap here at the feature race at Monza. It has been just a brilliant race from the Frenchman. He started in second place, was able to get a jump on Russell at the start, along with Palmer as well. And then from that point, it was just his race to lose here. He was just getting away from the rest of the pack. Not even a hold-up in the pits could stop the Frenchman. And if he could just keep this up, he's looking good to get his 4th victory of the season. And, well, what a fantastic season, it must be said. Whether you'll class this is probably his best season in GP2 or not is down to you. Whether you'll count Season 2 as his best season just for the fact that he came close to winning the championship, who knows really. But in terms of performances, you'd have to say that Gasly has this season to think about as well. Clearly, he's had better performances this season than what he's had in Season 2. In fact, he's had double the amount of victories that he had last season, providing that he crosses the line here to take the victory, of course. He's still got a few more meters to go before he can celebrate victory. As Norris looking good to get the podium in the Lightbase Sony race car, getting back onto the podium for the first time in quite a while. And still looking for the second victory though. He hasn't had a victory since the first race of the Season 4 Championship. That was the feature race at Bahrain. Whether it will come before the end of the season, who knows. Remember, he did win the last race last season with Mars Grand Prix. The sprint race. Whether that will happen this season, we'll wait and see. But meantime, here's Pierre Gasly, who rounds the final corner at the Parabolica. And after a fantastic race from the Frenchman, nobody doubted him since he took the lead down the pit straight. It is going to be Pierre Gasly who wins the feature race here at Monza. Congratulations to him and the Ecademy team. He takes his 4th victory of the season, and it never looked in doubt since he took the lead at the start. A well-deserved victory for the Frenchman. Felix Rosenqvist crossed the line in second place, and the gap now between him and Rosenqvist is now up to 14 points in the Drivers' Championship. Norris will cross the line in third position. It's going to be fourth for Sergey Sirotkin. Fifth place will go to Santiago Urrutia, and so Santiago Urrutia getting that place in the end. Mitch Evans, 6th place for him. 7th place will go to Massachusetts. Sirotkin finishes in 8th, meaning that he'll take pole for the sprint race tomorrow. Luca Ghiotto is 9th. Nato 10th. Euro will cross the line 11th. It's Fenestraz who will finish 12th. Goliath will cross the line in 13th position. 14th for Tictum. 15th for Lynn. And 16th for Vip, so Lynn finding himself in an RSPCA Racing sandwich. Ericsson is going to cross the line in 17th position, followed by De Vries, a disappointing 18th, and not far behind will be Razia, who will cross the line in a disappointing 19th. Never really recovered from his qualifying ban from yesterday. And there you have it then. In the end, Pierre Gasly is the winner here at the feature race at Monza, and as mentioned, it never really looked in doubt, did it? So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here's the results of the feature race here at Monza. It is Pierre Gasly who won the race from Felix Rosenqvist in second. And just to note as well, he actually does have a shout at winning the championship tomorrow, but he will need quite a lot of luck on his side as well. All he needs to do to grab it is he just needs to win and get the fastest lap, and he will win the championship, and hope that Russell finishes outside the points or retire. And with Russell at the back of the pack, it is still possible, but he's still got a lot of time to gain, seeing as he'll start in 7th tomorrow for the feature race. But as mentioned, Pierre Gasly won the race, Felix Rosenqvist 2nd, Lando Norris 3rd, with Sergey Sirotkin 4th, Santiago Urrutia 5th, Mitch Evans 6th, Nobuharu Mashita 7th, followed by Sergio Setikamara, who rounds out the points in 8th, Luca Ghiotto 9th, Nato 10th, Lucas Euro 11th, Sasha Fenestraz 12th, Sean Goliath 13th, with Dan Tictum in 14th position. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, is Alex Lynn in 15th, Yuri Vips in 16th, Joel Eriksson 17th, followed by Nyck de Vries in 18th, Louis Razia 19th, Jolyon Palmer was classified in 20th, meaning the two classified retirements were Lance Stroll and George Russell. They were the retirements. So let's see who set the fastest lap of the race then, who's going away with the bonus point. And it was Pierre Gasly with a 1 minute 27.805. So along with the 10 points he gets for victory, he also gets the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. He was 4 tenths quicker than Mitch Evans in the end. So it will mean that if Rosenqvist wants to win the championship tomorrow, because the maximum a driver can get in a weekend is of course 20 points. That includes the bonus points that you get for the feature race, the pole and the fastest lap, the bonus point you get for the sprint race, which is also the fastest lap, and then of course the 10 points you get for victory in the feature race, and the 6 points you get for win in the sprint race. In total, that's 20 points. That's the maximum a driver can get. Rosenqvist didn't set the fastest lap, meaning that if Rosenqvist wants to wrap up the championship tomorrow, he needs to win and set the fastest lap. He can't just win because of the fact that Russell has more victories than Rosenqvist this season, and Rosenqvist could probably level Russell in terms of victories tomorrow, but even then that will still not be enough, because there's still a chance for Russell to win the championship on a countback. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it for today's live stream then, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. It has been quite a very interesting day of racing, and hopefully we'll be in for some more tomorrow. The podium for GP2 is coming your way just after this, but until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, tomorrow at 1 PM BST. Yes, even during the England match, I've got no choice. At 1 PM BST for race 2 of IFMC GP3, the sprint race for IFMC GP2. Then there'll be around about a 2-hour break because of the F1 race in Paul Ricard, and then at 5 PM we will have the 53 lap Italian Grand Prix. So until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it, so thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the final bits of action here at Monza. Until then, take care and enjoy the GP2 podium.